Before I start this video, my recent video has been copyright claimed for basically nothing, so if you want to support me, watch that video because it's very good. Anyways, let's get right into the video. TV shows are bangers. In some cases, I would even say that they're better than movies in terms of length, progression with each episode, and of course, potential. When the director wants to make something good. And you know what? I'm going to make a video analyzing some great shows I like and tell you how to make a good show. Because once you make a good show, you make me very happy, very motivated, and very sexually attracted to men. But we're going to talk about some bad shows and the problems you have to avoid if you make something bad. And of course, if you make something bad, I will be very depressed, very suicidal, and of course, very murderous. So don't make a bad show, okay? Anyways, let's get right into it. So when making a show, you have to identify several key factors: the world, the story you're trying to tell, and of course, the characters. And if you take those key factors and make them bad, well, you have a very bad rating system on IMDb. But don't worry, even if your show is a complete mess, there's always going to be people who watch it and love it for the dumpster fire it is. All you got to remember is whatever you're making, no matter if it's good or bad, some people will think it's good and some people will not like it even if the show is good. But there is a way to make the show good and have most people who watch it like the show a lot. For example, if the person doesn't like the show because of its humor, it's not because your humor is bad, it's because the execution of your humor was bad, and it needs to be better. Maybe the joke needs a little more context, or maybe it needs the right person saying the joke, or maybe the way that it was executed wasn't really good. So anyways, let's get those key factors and expand my discussion on them. Let's start off with the setting. The setting of the show is very important because that's how the show is supposed to have its feel. If the setting of the show is depressing, then it's supposed to be depressing from beginning to end. Of course, not every episode has to be depressing, but the general concept of the show has to be there. And a perfect way of showing that your show is going to be like this is of course the first episode. Because not only does it show the concept of your show, but also gives the audience an amazing first impression and will want to consume more. But the concept has to be backed up by the idea. If you make a show where dwarves kill 6-foot people, then go ahead and do it, as long as you know what setting you're going for. And the most important thing in a show, or even anything that you enjoy, is entertainment. I mean, if you're on the hub, I don't know how you could find that entertaining. Anyways, entertainment is the most important thing when it comes to a show. Your show can be absolute dog shit, but if your show makes me feel good, just for the monstrosity it is, you won. And to further prove my point, there's an anime called Baki, and that show makes no goddamn sense. The plot is ridiculous, and stuff happens for the sake of happening. For God's sake, there's a plot line for Muhammad Ali being in the show for absolutely no reason. But it's funny as fuck. There was a scene in the show where Baki was about to do the business until his dad came in and basically gave him permission to do the business. I don't have much to say about that. You just need to watch the show to understand it. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, if your show is entertaining, it could really be a big up for your show because I can, for the most part, ignore all the inconsistencies in your shows, and as long as the show makes me laugh, or just makes me glued to the screen because of the ridiculousness, I can watch your show with a smile on my face. Alright, let's get the basic thing out of the way, the characters. Now, this one's a bit tricky because if you have trash characters, you basically have a trash show. But if you have good characters but bad actors, it could really ruin the show. So to make things less complicated, let's just talk about the main thing. The characters matter a lot in the show because not only do they make the story progress, but also make the tone and setting of the show 10 times better. Because depending on the characters, your show can be a lot more effective when it comes to making the audience excited for more. The characters can make a simple scene of them drinking tea into a very meaningful scene when you integrate the tone and setting into that scene. But if you have bad characters that are unlikable, annoying, and even downright soul-breaking, I have a show where I'm miserable to see the character no matter what the meaning of the scene is. And that's why it's important and why you should keep that in mind if you ever make a show. Now, let's get to the big thing that basically every show needs. A villain. Someone who's evil and wants the worst for everyone. A villain is someone who destroys and makes the life of the main character harder and harder. Now, the villain should have great progression. The story should make us want to hate him. A villain's primary objective should be being as big of a dick as possible because their inevitable downfall will be so much more sweeter. This type of villain, in my opinion, is probably the most effective when it comes to making a villain hateable. The least effective way to make a villain is to make them have clear motivations for why they're doing the thing that they're doing. And this can be effective, but it also makes you kind of like the villain. Now, you could like a villain, and some villains that are pure evil, you could also like them. And I even have villains that I like a lot, but in an ethical standpoint, when watching the show, you should hate them. You should despise them, and that should be the goal to the villain that you're making, even if they have very convincing motivations to their villainy. The concept is still the same. Make the villain hateable so their downfall is satisfying. Now, the last thing is the camera. This is one of the most important things because if you're making an animated show or a live action show, the thing about the camera should be used in very genius ways. It's all about the meaning of the shot that matters. Months ago, I watched JJK and this scene was nightmare fuel. And if you know, then you know why the main character is doing this. The atmosphere and tone of the shot is what makes the feeling of sadness for the main character. Any part of a scene of a show can be good depending on the way the camera's positioned. And you can consider several other things like the music and the way that the scene was animated, but all of that would never be in the show if the cameraman wasn't there. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and yeah. The video kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't really expect to make something like this, but overall, I'm looking at the script right now, and I think it's pretty good. And yeah, make sure to give my rappers videos some love, because the copyright claim is some bullshit. I didn't do anything wrong. The company just claimed my video for the sake of claiming it, and it's not fair. And whoever did this, they need to go to prison, because this is illegal. I didn't even have any of Ice Spice's music in there, and I just used clips to further strengthen my point. But even those clips got claimed for some reason, even though that I didn't even have any of the music in there. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say. Bye.